Okay, here we go. Hi, and welcome to a special episode. This is the first virtual podcast episode of the Chase Ellis podcast. Today, we're going to have Andre Bland. It's somebody who's just really cool. He was introduced to me through a mutual friend of ours, and he's on a great journey right now. He's heading in a great direction, and just really wanted to share my first real conversation with him with everybody else. So, Andre, I'm going to switch the camera over here. There we go. And
hello, everybody.
That's you there. And we're going to have to do that again because I'd never put it back the other way. But that's okay. We've got it on Zoom too. But yep, it's going to be like that. No, it'll be fine. Let's go with it. Andre,
Sounds good. How are you?
I am very well. I'm a little all over the place today, but happy to be here, that's for sure. So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you come from, how you got into the industries that you're known for. I was checking out this weird YouTube photography montage of you. I didn't know how far
like
back that goes.
Stalker one.
Hey man, I got to do my research, right? But it was kind of like, I didn't know if it was an acting reel or if it was a dating website kind of.
I think I know what you're talking about too.
Oh, don't worry, it'll be in the description at the bottom.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, tell us where you come from, how you got into this whole thing that you're doing.
So I'm known mainly for bodybuilding and my journey through the bodybuilding and even a lot of my art stuff. But I got started in bodybuilding because I grew up wrestling, and I was actually really good wrestling most of my life doing combat sports. And there was this transition that happened when I was in college where I was trying to, I had this goal of winning NCAAs, which never happened. And during this period, my mom started competing in bodybuilding when I was in high school. And around my college time, she was judging shows. So one of the owners of one of these bodybuilding federations calls my mom up on the phone when I was home on a winter break, and he calls her and he says, "Hey, how would Andre like to compete at our junior national show?" And I said, "No." And then he said, "Well, too bad. We already paid his entry." So I had 3 weeks to prep for this national show, and I'd never actually competed in bodybuilding in my life. All I'd done was train for wrestling. And I mean, I had a nice physique, but that's all I'd done. So I met up with one of the judges, and he basically gave me a crash course on posing, and I went over to his house and practiced for several hours. And I was already pretty cut because I was cutting weight for wrestling for college. So beyond that was fine tuning, which I will say my first show wasn't my best showing, but I came out and got second at the junior national show, first show.
No way.
Yeah.
What year is this?
2007.
Okay.
So,
nice. Good work.
Yeah, that's
that
how it
put
all
the pressure
started.
on. So were you addicted after that, or was it just
I
you were
wasn't
hooked?
actually.
Yeah.
I had no actual addiction whatsoever. In fact, I didn't even care about bodybuilding even after. So I actually got on the cover of Game Day magazine, and I've never even seen the cover. To this day, I've never seen the cover I was on. If anybody asked me, I've never seen it.
I'm finding that.
If you can find it, then I want to see it myself.
Hey, so Budget Jamie and Budget Snurdly, we need you guys on that. Yeah, find that picture. We got to put that in. They don't exist.
Yeah. So yeah, I got on the cover of Game Day magazine in 2007 or 2008. I don't know when the magazine came out. And my goals were still centered around wrestling. So I was trying to transfer to another school, and I was like, well, bodybuilding was kind of easy, but I don't care about it. So I start prepping and I was living in Virginia at the time. I had just left my college that I was at, and I was trying to transfer. And I go to this summer national tournament that's not NCAA sanctioned because I was trying to get scouted for potentially other schools. And I had some colleges that were interested in me. They'd seen me wrestle in college, but they wanted to see where I was at for offering scholarships. And I go out to one of these tournaments, and I fractured my shin. So Yeah. So like all the schools that were interested in offering me scholarships, they just all pulled their offers. And
Whoa.
by this point, I was like, well, I guess my dreams of being an Olympian or winning or placing in NCAA's is out the window. So then I started like weighing my options. I was like, bodybuilding was easy. I got second in a junior national show, my first show. Let me go back to that. So that's how the transition started.
No way.
Yeah, I actually took the boot off. I had a boot. I took it off 4.5 weeks early and entered an ODU Open in July of 2008, and I won the overall. And
Really?
yeah, then from there, I just like dominated the bodybuilding scene.
Dominated the bodybuilding scene. So this is 2008, 2009?
Yeah, 2008, 2009, 2010. I won 2 junior national shows. I won a junior world show. I got second in one division in a world show, and I ended up competing as a professional like the next year. And I won. I think I won 2 pro shows, and yeah, it's been interesting.
That's a heck of a ride, man. What? Why is it the people that have the most natural gifting just aren't interested? Like, like, what does that feel like to know you're that good right out the gate, and you're like, nah, I'd rather do something else?
I don't know. For me, it was kind of weird because it's like, I was really good at it, but like, I feel like the people I was competing against thought I cared about it much more than them. And like, a lot of the competitors treated me like I was arrogant, even though I didn't care about bodybuilding at all. Um, and I was like, maybe it's jealousy, but for me, um, it was an interesting journey because it's like, there's a lot of prep where it's like I've been working out my entire life just with the focus of playing sports, and transitioning that focus to something that revolved around sculpting your physique and showing it on stage. It was somewhat of an adjustment for me because, I wasn't keen on people staring at me.
Well, that's got to be a big thing to overcome, right? Because they're staring at a lot of you, right?
That's true.
There's not much left to the imagination there.
You're right. You have those little skimpy shorts on, and you're just like, Ponsa! You're like strutting on stage. Strike a pose. Ugh.
So what does that feel like too? Because when you're up there, right, not just the poses and not just the technique are on display, but I mean, in a way, there's a certain vulnerability and openness to the entire audience is judging you and
It's
how
true.
your evolution has come to this point. And like, even if you quit bodybuilding that day, you're still, they're going to think of you as that. What was that like?
It's pretty interesting. I think for me, it was one of those things where I had to get used to like basically presenting myself to the world, because like everybody's staring at you, like they're staring at you on stage, and then it's like even as you start to build a brand and a name for yourself, it's like everybody's still like viewing you as this bodybuilder and seeing your physique in the social media scene because the picture is still circling around like that video.
Yeah.
And so like I'd say one, I did have some anxiety when I first got started, and it took a while to actually overcome that. A lot of it I had to learn to like not look at the crowd, but like look at something on the wall and
Yeah.
just ignore the people so that way I didn't get all anxious and tense up, and then trying to loosen up so that way I had fun on stage so that way I'm not like looking awkward.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, the more fun you have, it's like, I'd say the better you actually do, because it's like the people actually, they feel it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We were talking about that before we started with Arnold. Arnold would every now and then just fake not understanding what pose the judges had called, and he would just go straight to one that played to his strengths because he knew the crowd would love it. And I mean, at the end of the day, he's having fun. He's breaking some rules. He's having some fun. And that's what would win him the competitions.
It's true. And he was
It's
a
cool.
beast.
He was a beast. But crazy enough, there were bigger beasts than him back then. Like more cut people that will hit the poses harder. But at the end of the day, you got to have that and that magic that connects you with the people actually judging.
I agree. I would definitely say that I can still say there's a lot more people that are bigger than me and more shredded, and I still came out on top somehow.
Well, I mean, yeah, we've never met before, and still you've got this magnetic personality that's just, I want to hang out. Like, when are you going to come down to Winston-Salem?
I don't know. I can figure it out. I'm down.
Do it in person. We can actually use the this ridiculous set.
Yes.
Yeah, it'd be tons of fun. So you went from bodybuilding, to straight into acting?
Yeah. So I can tell you how it all started.
Okay.
It started with me trying to like find sponsors because I had a lot of bills at the time and I was young, and I was thinking to myself, it's like, these competitions cost a lot of money. And in my search for like trying to find ways to offset the expenses, in the middle of it all, I was being approached by different agents. Like, I had VNY models in New York and AIM Model and Talent try to meet with me in New York about like representation. And then I also like went out to LA and met some people with Universal Studios. And like in the midst of all of this, I was also I also had
Hello?
Hi.
Hello?
Who is
I'm on the
this?
interview.
Hey.
Zay, come on over here, bro. Yeah.
Who's that?
That is my neighbor's son. He's adorable.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
He looks to be about the same age as my my daughters.
Yeah. What was the question again?
I don't remember. I'll pass it to you, man. I send it and forget it after that, man. I'm done after that.
I got distracted and I forgot what you were asking.
I'm just messing around. You were going to tell us how you got into acting from bodybuilding.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. So I had the different I was being contacted by different people, and I was flying out to LA. I'd go out to New York. But also, like, in the midst of all of this, while I was trying to make decisions, I tried linking up with the acting community in Virginia, and I ended up meeting up with some of the people that were doing like student films and like music videos. And I ended up getting in several music videos and stuff. And like, I'd say building my resume in Virginia, even doing these small projects, it made it easier for me to actually get booked with other things, because like when I actually, like I got hooked up with a staffing company that primarily does like event promotion, and they ended up booking me for one of my highest paid commercials in DC. So like just like random connections would play out to where I'd get roles.
That's usually how it works, right? You got to be in the business and around it for it to start really flowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so cool. And how long did you ever pursue it as a primary career?
I did. When I was younger, I tried pursuing it as a primary career, and I'd say that I made a lot more money doing like promotional modeling, but I did have several commercials that paid really well. I think one of the struggles I had was like the people that I was meeting up with. Like, for example, I flew out to LA and I met up with like almost the entire team with Universal Studios, and they were like, one of the casting directors was trying to get me in on a movie role, and I could not bring myself to be around this person on a regular basis.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Was there just, I mean, did he smell funny?
No, he was, I felt like he was a predator.
Really?
Yeah.
That's creepy. You think that's why he was trying so hard to get you in, or you think he was using that as an excuse, or?
I honestly think that he's probably done that with so many people that, that it was just like second nature for him. And like, I felt uncomfortable. Like, I felt like if I got this role and this dude is actually the casting director, and he's also, I think he was a co-producer on the film, and it's a well-known film too. So like,
oh, really?
Yeah. Him being like a co-producer, I was like, I'm going to have to see this dude every day. And I don't trust working this closely with somebody. And I didn't care who it was. It's like, even if you introduce me to other people with Universal, it's like my first role would still be with you. And it's like, I don't want to work with you. And I had similar issues in New York as well. So I kind of just
Really?
switched directions.
So this
Yeah.
wasn't this was something that you had experienced in the past.
Yeah.
It sounds like, yeah. So in New York.
Yeah. I ended up meeting up with one of the people who was one of the judges on America's Next Top Model. And he had scouted the #1 male model in the world, who I actually met in person.
You did not.
I did. I went out to sushi in New York when I was like 20 years old, or so I think I was 20, and it was with this guy Sean Opry and like his management team that was trying to sign me, and they were like, "We signed Sean. He's the #1 model. We think you could be the next big thing." And I stayed out there for like a week, and I was listening to this guy talk about how like I'd have to give something to get anything, and it sounded very
What?
sexual, and I was just like, yeah, I'm good.
Wow. So
Yeah,
that's
sleep your way
both
to the top.
coasts. Yeah,
Yeah,
right. Well, and so that's something that you hear about with Me Too and other things, like the ladies being approached, but you
yeah.
don't hear too much about the guys. And that's kind of a weird spot to be in too, because when you tell another guy, he's like, "Oh man, if only I could have that kind of attention," and it's like, no, it's
The
not
photographers are
wanted.
just as bad.
What?
Yeah,
Really?
the photographer. Yeah, like so. For example, my first photo shoot, um, I almost sued the photographer. I tried actually. I tried having a class action lawsuit, and
What?
not enough of the male models spoke up because they were afraid of backlash. But I did this photo shoot with this photographer who was actually based out of North Carolina, and he like had a camera rolling when I didn't even know a camera was rolling, and then he like came up behind me while I was changing and like humped my leg, and then he tried selling video footage of it, and
Oh my
I
gosh.
got a lawyer and I think he took it down. But yeah,
That's terrible, man. I'm sorry that happened.
yeah, it was it was like one of my first experiences in the industry as like culture shock from the beginning.
Yeah, geez, man. Like, I mean, how do you come back from that? What
Um,
what inspired you to give it another chance?
It was a tough one because like I didn't have a lot of people to talk to when it happened. I had asked multiple people to come with me on that photo shoot. I asked my mom, I asked my stepdad, I asked family friends, I asked people in the community, and everybody was just like, "No, you got it. You can do this. You'll be fine." And then as soon as something happened, then it's like, "Why didn't you ask us to come?" Or I'd get blamed for it like I was gay. And like it was just everything was my fault, and I just got so much backlash that I just stopped talking about it. I didn't even feel comfortable telling people because then rumors started going around saying that I was gay, and I was just like, there's no use in even defending myself at this point. So I basically sucked it up and was like, I'm gonna keep going and keep trying to reach my goals, and that's what happened. And then it's like as the years progressed, I was starting to notice that there's a lot of corruption in the industry, and I'm not saying that you can't make it big without doing anything dirty, because like I have worked at like I've taken acting classes, and most of the people that took classes at the studio ended up having relatively high success in the industry, and they didn't run into a lot of issues. But I feel like these people are predators that prey on people that like go into the industry through unconventional means. For example, like bodybuilding, or like um, child stars where it's like their parents bring them in, stuff like that, because most of them don't go in starting with acting classes.
And it sounds like it's a it's an opportunity in that maybe the victims don't feel anchored in the industry.
Yeah.
Like, for everybody else that you were describing there, they've kind of come up solidly. There's nothing else they're going to be doing.
Yeah.
Whereas somebody like you or me that comes in from the outside entirely,
Yeah.
we're going, I need that anchor. I need something that's going to like really secure this spot, or I'm going to lose everything at any minute. And that stress is ever present. That's something you don't hear about at all. I mean,
Yeah. You're right.
what,
That's a good
over
point.
400,000 members right now of the Screen Actors Guild. And that's
Yeah.
just who's actually been able to become a member. and we know about, what, 20 stars off the top of our head to make it big. Everybody else is making like 50 grand a year or less.
You're right.
Grinding it out, man. So what is it? The average salary is 70,000 a year for all of the members of the Screen Actors Guild.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know about these stars making millions. That means there's so many people working for free, just hoping for a shot, hoping to get some friendly producer to give them some attention and hook them up and introduce them. Right. And then, but that's where the predators live, man. They're like, they're looking for those freaking, you know, for them, it's easy targets. They don't want to have to work for it. That's kind of why they're predators, right?
Yeah.
If they had to work for it, they just earn the proper love and respect from another individual. But here I can just show up and introduce these unsuspecting people to people that I just happen to know. It's not like I did anything necessarily to get to know these people. I just happen to know them. And now I've got this leverage over somebody. It's so sick. It's so sick. I'm really sorry that's happened, man. You look like you're shouldering it extremely well. Does fitness play into that? Or, I mean, it can't be all of it. There's got to be some work that you've done. There's got to be something you're aiming at.
I went to a trauma therapist in Phoenix for like a year. And then I also, maybe it was a little longer. I've done like trauma therapy. I went through DBT classes. And then I'm even currently working with a therapist in Virginia. So it's like, I've done a lot of personal work just to like not let certain things arise. And, but it's like, there's a lot of stuff that I'd seen and experienced. Like, for example, even outside of the stuff that I mentioned, like I didn't even mention, like I moved out to Georgia and I went out for a Nike casting out there. And the casting director knew who I was when I went to the audition. And he was like, I've been following you for years. I was like, wait, what? Like
in a fan way or in a creepy way?
Maybe both. So like there were like 3,000 people that auditioned for this Nike role, and I ended up in the top 5. And the casting director actually kept in touch with me for a few years. And then like I left Georgia, I ended up moving. I moved back to Virginia, and I ended up moving out to Arizona. And like this dude kept in touch with me, and he'd like approached me years later for a lead role in a TV show out in the UK, and they were going to pay me like upfront $50,000 plus they were going to pay like royalties on the show. And they were also trying to approach a friend of mine to be the co-star. And this dude actually had the nerve to say that the only requirement was for me to meet up with them at some mansion in private with just me and this other dude, and for us to have sex in front of everybody. And I was like, this is the most creepy, disturbing thing I've ever heard. And he was like, we'll have a lot of stars there. They've all done it. And I was like, okay. And first I was just like, I didn't believe it. I was like, this is crazy. So then I'd already rejected his offer, right? So like months later, they reach out to me again, and this dude sends me video footage of like somebody that was locked up in some dungeon over in the UK, which sounds unbelievable. Like it sounds crazy, but it was true. Wow. And then he mentions how like they can, if me and my buddy like perform some sort of sexual act, they can have drones fly in and like record us. And I was like, I'm not gay. So like I mean, I didn't do it, obviously. I had no intentions of doing it. But, like, that was something that came up where it's like I tried talking to people. I even showed messages. I showed some of the messages to friends. And, like, one of my buddies that I showed, like, actually showed the text to came out and was like, you're going to do it, right? You're gay. And then he, like, cut me off, like, completely blocked my number and everything. And I'm like, just because I show you a message of like this dialogue going on doesn't mean I'm actually planning to accept this offer. I'm showing you that this because I need people to see that this stuff actually happens in the industry, because everybody tries to act like it's just some giant conspiracy when it actually happens.
What the hell?
I know.
The and your friend, the other friend that was trying to be recruited as well. I mean,
he actually said that he would do it, and I said no. So I ended up actually blocking his number because he kept on. He was like, "Come on, man."
He joined in on trying to convince you.
Yeah, he joined in trying to convince me because they promised him like a ton of money. And I was, and in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, just because they make a promise, it doesn't mean anything. It's like, okay, if they have leverage where they could like lock somebody up in a dungeon, who's to say that you take this role, or that they have you do this act and then you never get a role and you never get paid anyway? So like, what does it actually matter? Like, I don't trust them at all. And I mean, I highly doubt that he ever ended up becoming famous or anything, because like, I haven't heard anything about him. But
do you know if he's still in the industry? Like, is he, maybe they hooked him up with somebody else and this kept going? I have no idea,
actually. I really? Blocked him, so I don't know.
That's dude, I had no idea about this when we started talking. Like, I knew you had some brushes, but I mean, what you're describing is the deep, dark pit that is the cesspool of certain pockets of the elite society. Wait, and then you never hear about it being toward guys, right?
Yeah, and that's not even everything. I can go on, actually.
I wouldn't ask, man. You're sharing so much already, and I can't imagine what it must feel like to share this.
Yeah,
and I really appreciate you having the courage to put it out there, because nobody else will if somebody doesn't stand up, and you're standing up. So you're going to write a book? You're going to name names? I mean, what are we going to do next step, man?
I don't know. I considered writing a book. I was actually, I was talking to a friend of mine about writing a book, and because there's other things that I wanted to write about too. For example, I wanted to write out my whole story, and I'm trying to figure out what all I want to include and how I want to go about it. And the other thing, I also know that like many of these people will never actually admit to anything they've done, and like their whole circle is going to defend them to the death and act like they're so innocent. I've known them for years. But like, I also personally know other people, like other fitness models and other people that were involved in the industry that had the exact same experiences. And like, for example, I have a buddy of mine named Anthony, and I don't know if I'm not going to say his last name because this privacy reasons, but like
absolutely.
This dude, he used to be like one of the biggest names in the bodybuilding world back like 2006, 2007. And he had a bigger following than me. Like when he started, he just like blew up, and he ended up writing for bodybuilding.com, and he ended up just quitting all of it and went into like building his own marketing company because of stuff that he experienced in the industry that was similar to me. And he was just like, I can't take it. So, and he also felt like people weren't talking, and there's like nothing that, like when he tried suing people, nobody wanted to speak up. And it's like, in many cases, if you're trying to have a class action lawsuit, you need people to actually speak up. So, I mean, I know other people that have had similar experiences just as bad, but nobody wants to talk. So,
I mean, and who can blame them, right? When you've lived through that, the last thing you want to do is have to rehash it and then be beat to hell for it by a cross-examination on a stand of any kind. I mean, that's going to be miserable to go through. That's the thing about it, right? Is not saying something makes more sense in a lot of ways than saying something. And I say that as a natural reaction. You've gone through this tremendous, awful hell. But when somebody does speak up, it just seems to be almost supernatural in a way. They're rising above so much despite all the odds, like you're doing right now. It's really powerful to see. It's really cool.
Thank you.
And it spreads. The more you do it, the more people around you will start doing it. And you'll catch more grief for it. But that one other person that picks up where you're leaving off or joins in, it's worth it. Absolutely worth it. And the people that it'll save in the long run. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So maybe writing books. I know you've got some entrepreneurial ideas in mind for the near future. And you're taking this courage, it seems to be defining you, right? From top to bottom, surface to the real depths of who you are, is taking what you got.
Yeah.
Even though it may not be your first pick, and striving to do something good with it. So what are you doing next? Where are you aiming at?
Well, after like the bodybuilding realm, I actually ended up moving from Georgia back to Virginia prior to Arizona, because I was trying to work out a potential relationship like several years back that fell through.
Long distance relationships suck.
Yeah. And I ended up going into the art field doing caricatures and started doing other stuff like painting and portraits. And I've done that for the past few years, all the way up until this COVID shutdown. And like currently in a transition again, because, you know, I'm still getting art gigs. It's just not as steady with the social distancing. So it's like, and I was already preparing for like something this year. Like I was expecting like a stock market correction. So I was looking at other avenues for money. So I'm going in the direction of like doing Amazon automation and trying to get a store set up so that way I can make some money. And I was looking at like creating my life in a way where it's recession proof.
Mm-hmm. A friend of mine who actually works for Amazon, he's one of the wisest friends I have. And he's like, until you can learn to make money in your sleep, you're never going to make money. And it just really sticks with me. And the idea of you having an automation store, it's just, absolutely. Get it up and running, let it run, man it as much as you need to, and then get somebody to do that for you and do something else.
Yeah, that's the goal. That's the plan. So
that's cool.
That's the direction I've kind of moved into. And I mean, I'll do whatever it takes to survive while getting everything together. But for the most part, it's like, I feel as if, for one, it's invigorating almost. It's like, I feel happy actually doing something that I feel like will have an impact and that I can actually help others with. For example, like helping others get stores and finding ways to make money where I'm not having to work for somebody. So that's where I'm at.
That's cool. That's really cool. And
I don't have to rely on people like agents. And then I can go to auditions that I want to go to if I was to do any auditions.
So self-representation. So I have an agent, right, for voice work.
Yeah.
She's great. I've been with her for years. What is self-representation like? I mean, people have to know who you are already.
Yeah. Oh, well, I have an acting agent. I'm with Ford Models and Ford Robert Black in Arizona out of Scottsdale. And I also have a couple of like non-union agents in Virginia, but Ford's a SAG agency. And so like a lot of my art projects, I self-represent. I have my own company. And then I also have art agents.
Is there anything you don't do? Hang on. Wait. Hang on. You write music too, don't you?
I have actually.
I called it.
I got a story. I got a story for you. Yeah. So I wrote this song back in like 2011, and I ended up. I was talking to this lady romantically last year, and she was a musician. Like she plays a bunch of instruments. So I present the song to her, and like while we were trying to figure out the logistics of this relationship, because she was in Texas, she was like, I'm going to put this to music and we're going to sell it and we're going to make a lot of money. and she already had several businesses of her own. So, and she also had like a marketing team that worked for her. So she actually did. And then all of a sudden we ended up breaking it off and not talking, and she blocked my number, and I think she stole my song, but I have actually written music for her.
Wait. Is her name Taylor Swift or Amy Lee? Because either one of those celebrities I would think would definitely do that. Just throwing that out there.
It was not.
You dated Tay-Tay. You did. You dated Tay-Tay, and you broke her heart. And she stole your song. Now there's teardrops on her guitar, and that's your song that you wrote. I get It's crazy.
Yeah.
No, my dad was a musician. Yeah, well, he was a musician, but he wanted to be a music producer. So
Yeah.
that's why I came on the scene outside of Nashville.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was a traveling audio engineer and then trying to do music production as well. And
That is
before he met my mom and married my mom, man, he was making the rounds, dating the different Christian contemporary artists back then.
That is cool.
Yeah, he knows. He doesn't let us forget it either. He's sure to bring it up whenever he sees them on TV. I don't know how my mom feels about that, though.
That's funny.
Yeah, dating musicians is tough, but
I agree. This lady, she was an author too. I actually read her book. She's actually like a well-known author, and I read her book, and she wrote like her whole entire dating history in her book. And there were a couple of things that I read, and I was just like, this is interesting. Like, this is insane. Like, so for example, one of the things, I won't get into it because, I care about this lady and stuff.
yeah, you
But
don't want to.
since of course we've kind of broken it off and she's blocked my number and stuff, I did find it interesting how like she openly admitted to being underage, hooking up with somebody who was like in their 20s, and then talked about how like they had this fling going on for years, and I was like, it's pedophilia, but okay.
That's awkward.
Yeah, and it's in her book, but I am not slamming her. I'm just
people. Old cultures, man. They were Mormons and Jews. I mean, you go back. Marrying age is 13 to 15.
It's a good point.
Some girls like older dudes. I don't get it. I'm not condoning it by any means. Pedophilia is bad, okay? Let me clarify. But desires are there, which is weird.
Yeah.
Just to comprehend, right? And then to brag about it, it just makes you go, what's going on here?
Yeah. And like, I get it. There is desire there on both ends. And I also understand that like they mutually agreed to this, which is better than most people. So,
well, Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, he's married to his school teacher.
I didn't know that.
They were dating. Yeah. They were like seeing each other while he was still in primary school. Like,
wow.
Really? I mean, he's president of Canada. And it's normalized now. Like, oh no, that's, we love knows no boundaries. Love is good enough to put boundaries up and protect people.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, terrible rabbit trail, but yeah, Trudeau.
I should tell you how it ended with her. You got to hear the story how her and I broke it off.
She left you for somebody that was 70.
It's not far-fetched actually. What actually happened was I called her out on, like, I booked a flight out to see her twice actually, and she flaked on me, and then she booked a flight to see me, and then we had everything planned out, and during this period, like the day before she was supposed to be flying, or like 2 days before she was supposed to be flying out, she runs into some guy at like a coffee shop or something, and he proposed to her on the spot. And you know what she said? Yes. So he ends up moving in with her because, she was better off financially and had stuff together. And she was like, I want to get married. And then like, she doesn't talk to me for a bit. And then things don't work out with him. And then she comes back and cries to me, apologizing and stuff. And then like we try making up, but like I was so upset and she couldn't understand why I was so upset that then she starts just blaming me for like not being irrational and immature and blocks my number. That's how it ended.
I'm comparing it to my other musician experiences right now. It's definitely an extreme one, but yes, that fits the motif. That's crazy, man.
I agree.
So what are you doing now? Where are you exactly, too? I've been trying to figure it out. I'm looking at the trees. I'm guessing
Virginia.
I was gonna say Virginia. Yeah.
Yeah.
Virginia.
I'm back in Virginia. I actually was I drove back to Virginia from Arizona in February around close to my birthday. And there's a couple reasons why I came back, but I was looking at living between like DC and Florida for the year and possibly moving out to California next year, but I wasn't entirely sold on it. I wasn't sure. And I come out here, I fly out to Florida on my birthday, and 3 weeks of me being in Florida, the COVID shutdown happens, and it's like all my plans for the year just got crushed. So I ended up flying back to Virginia because I left my car here. And I was planning I had an event booked in DC for the entire month of May. I was planning to hang out with a lady friend of mine as well as like see family and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But that ended up getting canceled. I had other events planned around the country. Those got canceled. And it's like I immediately had to like shift directions. So I was already I'd already started the process and getting things together for this Amazon store back in January because I was already like talking about it with some people last year. So when I first came back, I was dealing with health issues as well. And I had to like recover enough from the health issues to really focus on other things. And then it's like, I mean, I'm doing a lot better, as you could probably tell. Like I was shaking months ago. So
what?
Yeah,
I wouldn't have known, man.
Yeah. So like I've recovered a lot, and it's like I'm at this point now where I feel pretty good. Life's going well again and things are on the upswing like the stock market and like my life is. And I'm able to focus, and I'm really focusing on building out my own business right now. That's exactly where I'm at. Like
Nice.
I want to get my life in order. I figured I didn't present myself the best when the COVID shutdown happened. So like I've kind of shut down. I haven't been posting on social media. I haven't been posting anywhere. And I've just been focusing on myself. I've been going to the gym. I got a new gym membership in the area. I've been working out. I've been reading a lot and just keeping to myself, focusing on me.
Cool.
And I'm like, come back stronger and nobody's going to see it coming.
How far are you from Chesterfield?
I don't know, actually. I don't think it's that far. I think it's like, isn't that close to Richmond?
Yeah.
It's like
south of Richmond, between Petersburg and Richmond.
Yeah, I think it's like hour and 15.
Okay. My brother's
Maybe.
there. He's got a CrossFit gym.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's
cool.
why I asked, fitness community. It's always, one of the things he does when he comes here is he visits other CrossFit gyms just because he loves meeting new people. So knowing him, he'll probably run into you at some point. Yeah. No, I'll send you the info. He's super cool too.
Sounds good.
Not just because he's my younger brother. He's my younger brother. I'm supposed to really just razz him, but he's actually doing a hell of a job. So I can't really knock him.
Yeah.
Good job, Josiah. Yeah. No, he did. He's one of the first 4 episodes we did, because we did a batch of 4 to kind of kick things off, and he was
like, that is cool.
I mean, he's a CrossFitter, so he's going to talk about it anyway. You might as well put a camera on him.
That's hilarious.
Hey, man. I feel like we've kind of landed this plane a little bit faster than we might have planned on.
Totally
I don't want it to end, though.
We can talk about whatever.
What are we missing?
I mean, I could talk about. I coached gymnastics for a bit.
Do you ride a unicycle too?
I've never done that, but not
yet. Not yet. He said
yeah.
not yet.
Oh, speaking of gymnastics, you know something else?
What?
I broke the rope climbing world record.
What the-
I did.
I feel like the worst host ever because I have no idea about any of these. Like, all I had was that creepy YouTube video, but you got, like, legitimate records out there, man. That's crazy. Rope climbing of all things.
Yeah. I have a video on Instagram where I'm climbing a rope upside down and like hopping my way up with two hands. But like just normal climb all the way up the rope, I broke the speed record. And in fact, we were going to submit to the Guinness World Records because I did it at New Kent Gymnastics Center in Virginia. And they just opened a new state-of-the-art facility, Vega. Mm-hmm. It's Virginia Elite Gymnastics Academy. Okay. But like a couple of years ago, I think it was like 2016 or 2017, I broke the record and they got it on video. And we were going to like try to do it live for like an actual submission. And the next day, I ended up tearing a ligament and had to get surgery. Yeah.
So what happens when you run full throttle with nitrous all the time, man? Something's going to break.
I know. Like the very next day, I ended up in the ER and I got surgery like 6 months later because they took forever to get the surgery done. And here I am, switching directions again.
It's amazing what an injury can do too, because a good friend of mine's, he was having really good luck cage fighting in Richmond.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and he had a great basketball career ahead of him, just absolutely natural with the ball. And sure enough, on the court one day, a torn ACL.
Ooh, that's rough.
Now he teaches martial arts. He doesn't even compete anymore. It's just done.
Wow.
Because it was that bad, the way that it tore. And yeah, he works for a car dealership now and teaches martial arts on the side. A fantastic guy. He also teaches ballroom dancing, which is tons of fun too.
This guy's a jack of all trades too. Look at him.
He is, yeah. You know, that's kind of who I hang out with, right? Because I'm an IT guy.
Yeah.
And I do this, but I've also got a dance background, a theater background, sports.
Got them skills.
Mechanical stuff. I just, you know, you find people that have an energy where they're never happy with what they know. They have to keep doing and learning more, or they, like us, you know, I did some military time too. And that ended abruptly without any warning. Had no other plan. But you get walloped and you either stay down, curl up and die, or you just get up and do something new. There's so many people that could do so much more.
Adapt or die.
Very much so. Very much so. And you look at people that have so much less than what we have. Here's you a story. I went to visit some family.
Yeah.
And one of the elder family members was not long for the world. And so me and my family, we went out there. We found a hotel. It was like the only hotel that had a room. And I came down to the front desk to ask for another night or something like that because, you know, unexpected delay, something. And I had noticed the day before a really nice couple, ladies walking, her husband not far behind her. And as I passed by, I noticed he had his hand on her shoulder.
Yeah.
Because she was leading him. They're at the desk when I come back down and I say, hey, I'm talking to the front desk, the desk clerk, saying, hey, I really appreciate you guys understanding. We've suffered a family tragedy and just every little bit helps. And here's this blind guy says, I'm really sorry for your family tragedy. I hope everything's okay. And I got hit so hard with it. It's just like getting smacked in the face. You know, you're thinking about how much you're hurting and all you can see is what you don't have. And then here's this guy who knows how long he's been without his sight.
Yeah.
And he's being compassionate toward me. Like, heroes, man, they're everywhere. They're absolutely everywhere. I've never been hit so hard in the heart by an absolute stranger before. It was incredible.
You know what that reminds me of?
What's that?
I can let you finish.
No, that was it.
I was listening to a lecture by Simon Sinek earlier
Love
today.
Simon Sinek. Simon
Yes.
Sinek's awesome.
And
What is
he
that
said,
accent of his? Like, what in the world? Anyway.
yeah, he said it was about it was leaders eat last. So like what he said is I'll just read everything I wrote real quick. It's short.
Yeah.
But
No. You wrote this out. Okay.
yeah, and he put the leader, the alpha comes at a cost. The cost of leadership is self-interest. If you're not willing to give up your perks when it matters, then you probably shouldn't get promoted. You might be an authority, but you will not be a leader. Leadership comes at a cost. You don't get to do less work when you become a leader. You have to do more work. And the more work you have to do is put yourself at risk to look after others. That is the anthropological definition of what a leader is.
That's
And
awesome.
it's like, it kind of fits in with what you're saying. It's like, even with this guy, with his loss of blind sight, it's like he took this leadership role where he still cared about the neighbor. And it's like, this gets paid forward because the more people that do it, it's like when it happens to them, when they receive empathy, they're more likely to give empathy. And it's like, it just snowballs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it takes so little too, right? I mean, just a little, I try to practice it now if I'm at McDonald's. This is where my first experiment with this was. I went to McDonald's. This was like 3 years ago. And I'm like 7 people in line, and there's only one cashier there. And I'm just watching, and I'm, when that happens, you're going, oh man, I should have taken the drive-through. Like, that's first thought. You're like, I'm inconvenienced. I go, no. What if I'm here to learn something? What if everywhere I am is to learn something or to help somebody? And so I started watching for the opportunity, and I'm 7 people back, and we're slowly making it forward. And when I get to the register, I've never met this lady. Look at her and say, hey, you know what? 3 people back, somebody said, keep the change. And I saw you open the drawer, register the amount of change for the drawer correction, and put it in the drawer. That was honest. That was absolute integrity. Thank you so much for being that person.
Yeah.
And she was like blown away. I mean, just one good, honestly specific deed that somebody does that they think nobody ever cares about, man. Try complimenting that sometime and see what happens. If it goes badly, like, seriously, send me a message, because I've never seen it go badly. Like, when you do it right, it's the best thing you could possibly do.
It's true.
So you're doing that a lot too, I think.
Working on it. I'm trying.
You're hanging out. You got the neighbor over. Neighbor kid sees this like former bodybuilder, actor dude, doing an interview from the chair in the front room. Like, that's an example, dude. That's a great example.
Thank you.
So when are you gonna have kids of your own? Move on and like.
That's a great question, actually. I guess when the stuff starts to come together on my end, and like I'm still working on some health issues. For example, I get my results for this sleep study tomorrow. Excuse me.
Oh, sleep studies suck. I've done those.
So, like, I'm working on some things in my own life, and I want to make sure that like everything is just on point. Like, I don't want to make the same mistakes I've made in the past, and I don't want to have anybody to blame. Like, no excuses. Like, even with how I respond to people, I made some poor decisions with some of my responses early in the year, and it's like I want to do better all around. So it's like that's why I've just taken some time and just been focusing on myself all around for the past month and a half, couple months. And when I'm gonna allow things to unfold naturally, and
Nice.
when things come together, hopefully in coming years, I have some little mini Andres running around, and they'll be causing havoc and creating greatness in some sense. I don't know.
Yes. That sounds like a good mix.
Yeah.
Havoc and greatness. That's awesome. And you know what? Even if that doesn't play out like unplanned, you still got the neighbor kids. You still got everybody around you that's looking up to you, man, and take advantage of that too, because that is gold. That's absolute gold.
Yeah.
Hey, I think well, yeah, let's wrap it up, I guess, and we'll go ahead and land this plane. We're definitely going to have you back. We're going to have to do this
Sounds
again.
good.
Try
I'm
to do
down.
it in person. Thanks. That means that this didn't suck for you. I really appreciate that.
Oh, no, it didn't suck.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. And thank everybody for watching, obviously, or listening to. But heck, I'm going to kill the recorder, and he and I are going to keep chatting. So,
Sounds good.
All right, y'all take care. I'm turning off the recorder.
Everybody.
Scene.
Woo.